Our draft coverage of the 2023 NFL Draft continues here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. No matter where you are, how you're tuned in, appreciate all of you for watching today's show. Let's begin with this, as on today's program, we'll take a look at Bijan Robinson because he visited with the Eagles, as well as a couple of draft prospects who ESPN draft expert Mel Kiper has going to the Birds in his most recent mock draft, NFL Draft, coming up the final Thursday in April, as I can't believe that we're closing in on the fourth month of the year. So Bijan Robinson visiting with Philadelphia this week, the transcendent Texas running back, posting this picture of Lincoln Financial Field as he was flying into Philadelphia International Airport. For those of you who have flown into the airport, you oftentimes will see Lincoln Financial Field, Citizens Bank Park, and the entire sports complex. And with the black and white photo here, looked even cooler with all of the LED lights outside of the link. Nowadays, Jeffrey Lurie continues to evolve as an owner and always invest into this football team. Mike Garafolo with this tweet too. He referenced the picture from Bijan, saying this post from Bijan Robinson last night was indeed what it looked like. He was paying a pre-draft visit to the Eagles. Source says, our guy Daniel Jeremiah has said Bijan Robinson to Philly makes a ton of sense, though Howie Roseman has never gone running back in round one. When's the last time the Eagles went running back in round one? Stay tuned for that answer. First, today's poll, JAWN. Let us know down in the comments section. Should the Eagles draft Bijan Robinson in the first round at either 10 or at number 30? You see what I did there? JAWN. D for draft, P for pass, and if you want to spam JAWN down in the comments, I won't stop you. Our chat stats segment of the day. Eagles have not taken a running back in the first round since Keith Byers all the way back in 1986. And this is an organization that oftentimes has not drafted running backs early in the draft. Here are some of the Eagles' second-round RBs over the last several years and last couple of decades. You go back to 1992, that's my birth year. Siran Stacy, drafted by the Eagles in the second round that year. Charlie Garner in 1994 to Philadelphia. LeSean McCoy, what a draft selection he was out of Pitt in 2009. He arguably is the best running back in the history of this franchise. He's certainly up there with Wilbert Montgomery as well as Brian Westbrook. And then in 2019, Miles Sanders, who just got a nice little payday from the Carolina Panthers. A reminder to subscribe to us here on Eagles Now for some fantastic draft coverage. You've seen what we've been able to do for our free agency coverage. And if you haven't tuned in, that's your loss. Look at the channel. All the stuff that we've been able to do. I think the first week of free agency put up 13, 14 videos, not including our live shows. Go Birds and subscribe today. With Bijan, I think he's a transcendent player. I think that he is extremely special, and I don't look at him as just a running back. I look at him as an overall weapon. And if he were to be selected in the first round, which is where I believe he's going to go, then Philadelphia would be able to exercise that fifth-year option. So we're talking about a guy who would be with the Eagles for the next 5 years. He would fit in this championship window. Great scheme fit, great player, ball carrier, pass catcher, and he'd be under team control for the next potentially 5 years, if not 4. And this guy, a freak athletically from the NFL Scout and Combine. He wowed a lot of people. Go back and watch how smooth he was going in and out of his breaks, catching the football, running the football. He just gallops in a beautiful fashion for his size. An overall relative athletic score of 9.81 that maxes out to 10. So everything that you see in green here is pretty elite. I frankly don't care about the height at 5'11 or 215 pounds. I think that the height and the size, totally ideal. What I do care about, excellent vertical, great broad jump. He ran a 4.4 plus 40-yard dash. His 20-yard split, great. 10-yard split, great. What that means is very explosive player in short yardage and short distances. And what I also like about Bijan, you can utilize him in a variety of ways. He can line up in the slot and be a wide receiver. He can catch balls on wheel routes out of the backfield as a pass catcher, but running the football, you take a look at his gap decisions, as I'll step aside here. You go left tackle all the way across the board to right tackle. A gap to the left and the right of the center. The B gap is to the right guard or left guard. C gap to either tackle spot, and then out wide is out to the perimeter. And you see Bijan Robinson's usage here. A gap, 64 carries this past year for Texas for 332 yards. B gap, 48 carries for $177. C gap, 45 totes for 308. And then oftentimes, this is where he's a scheme fit, because in that RPO, it's Jalen Hurts either taking it and running it, or it's him giving it to Bijan, who tries to get out to the edge. When he goes out wide, check out the yards to the carries there. That is very, very elite, where he picked up 758 rushing yards going out to the outside. So really, in summary here, Bijan Robinson would add a pretty crazy skill set to this Eagles offense that's already returning all but 2 starters. Isaac Seumalo to the Steelers, Miles Sanders to the Carolina Panthers, and I look at Bijan as a weapon, not just as a running back, and he would be affordable and a very good player for about 5 years. Can you imagine, as a defensive coordinator, trying to game plan against Philadelphia? You have arguably the top wide receiver duo in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, who both are very versatile with their respective games. You might have the best all-around tight end in the game outside of George Kittle and Dallas Goedert. Jalen Hurts is making massive strides as a passer. Best offensive line in football. Then you have a guy who can do it all, line up anywhere, and Bijan as a chess piece for Nick Sirianni and Brian Johnson. Look, I don't like drafting running backs in the first round, but man, this is a player that is very difficult to pass on. If you want to interact with me, let me know what you think about this. The Eagles, NFL, whatever. If you need life advice, that's cool too. Just at 300 straight days on my running streak. I'm all about fitness as well. Interact with me on Twitter and Instagram at Chase_senior. His production to the last 2 years for Bijan, straight up elite as well. Do we have that 2-player comp by any chance? You can take a look at what Bijan's been able to do in 2022 and 2021. This is both him running the football and being a pass catcher. 2021, more than 1,100 rushing yards, average yards per carry 5.8, 26 catches for 295 yards, and 15 total touchdowns. A lot of people didn't think that because he's going to be draft eligible after 2022, that he would be even better in 2022. He was. More rushing yards at nearly 1,600. Average yards per carry went up to 6.1. Receptions went down, but the yards went up. Total touchdowns up by 5 as well. My philosophy, do not take running backs in the first round. But you cannot pass on a transcendent player. And Howie Roseman in this front office, when it comes draft time, usually they look at it as, we're going to take the best player available. So if Bijan is there at number 30 and he's the best player available, take him. You will not regret it as long as he's able to stay healthy, because he has that type of Christian McCaffrey all-around ability. At number 10, yeah, a little bit lofty, a little bit risky, because I think there are more important positions to draft there for players like right tackle, defensive end, who could be for this be with this franchise, a little bit longer and have more of a profound impact. With that, let's go to Mel Kiper's mock draft. A look at who he has going to the Eagles at number 10 and at number 30. For those not familiar, Mel Kiper, one of ESPN's draft experts, and this is somewhat of a popular pick here, and it really does fit the philosophy for Philadelphia of going to a position in which they like to build their football team up with. That's right tackle or left tackle, defensive tackle or edge. The Eagles love building inside out. And my rules for building a football team, of course you have to find a quarterback. Eagles have that checked off with Jalen Hurts. You have to protect the quarterback. They have that with Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Jason Kelce, and most likely Cam Jurgens. You have to attack the opposing quarterback. You're able to do that with the team that had 70 sacks last year. They'll miss Javon Hargrave for sure. But Peter Skoronski out of Northwestern fits the draft profile for a player who the Eagles really like. Here's what Mel Kiper had to say about him as a guy who can play tackle as well as guard. Center Jason Kelce will be back, but the Eagles just lost right guard Isaac Seumalo in free agency. Could they take the prospect some teams consider the best guard in the class? Skoronski excelled at left tackle for the Wildcats, but his arms are slightly shorter than average for tackles, 32 1/4 inch. So he could instead move inside. Philadelphia drafted interior lineman Cam Jurgens in round 2 last year. He's the favorite to replace Seumalo, but taking Skoronski would ensure versatility and competition. Either way, Jurgens is going to be the future center of this football team. Skoronski could either be the future right guard, or he could be the future right tackle, or maybe even left tackle for Philadelphia. Sticking with how the Eagles like to draft in the first round and how they like to build their teams. Look out for Lucas Van Ness, the edge rusher out of Iowa, to also be in play here at number 10. He has not been mentioned a ton out there, but I think that he's certainly in play as a high motor, very good pass rusher for Philadelphia. And there was a clip that went viral this past week of Lucas Van Ness running over Peter Skoronski, fellow Big Ten members right there. As for who the Eagles are going to take at number 30, according to Mel Kiper, Isaac Seumalo. This one surprised me a little bit because of how he performed at the scouting combine, and I'm not sure he's going to be available at the back end of the first round. I still see Kelce as the ideal choice here, slotting in next to 2022 first-rounder Jordan Davis for years to come, thus solidifying the Philadelphia Eagles defensive line. General Manager Howie Roseman and the Eagles, who have 2 first-rounders thanks to a deal with the New Orleans Saints last year, believe in investing heavily in the defensive line. So this is a pick to continue the trend. Kelce had an elite workout at the combine, though he's not going to be perfect for every team. At 6'1", 281 pounds, he needs to go to a team that plays a 4-3 and allows him to penetrate past interior linemen and create chaos at the snap. Keep an eye on safety for this pick, as C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Marcus Epps are both gone. Safety is certainly in play here. I don't know if the Eagles any longer are going to go cornerback because they brought in Greedy Williams. They brought back James Bradbury. They were able to retain Darius Slay. So I'm thinking defensive tackle, offensive tackle, in play here for Philly. Edge rusher also in play. And can Howie Roseman help himself if Bijan Robinson is on the board? Now, Mel Kiper alluded to Isaac Seumalo being a freak at the NFL Scouting Combine. He is certainly undersized at defensive tackle, but so too was another Pitt Panther as Isaac Seumalo went to Pitt, and Aaron Donald. Look, Jason Kelce, when he was coming out of Cincinnati, he was deemed to be very undersized at center. Hasn't really affected him, right? He's probably the best center of all time, definitely in the history of this Eagles franchise, but it's pretty fascinating because you take a look at how Kelce and Aaron Donald stack up just in terms of their athletic profile. Kelce 6'1", Donald almost 6'1". Weight, Kelce 281, Aaron Donald 285. 10-yard split, nearly identical, off by a millisecond. And then a 40-yard dash off by a millisecond. And the athleticism score, Kelce at 94, Aaron Donald at 98. He might be undersized, but that quickness can allow him to win those mismatches and exploit and take advantage of some of those slower-footed guards and centers across the NFL. If he's available at 30, I'd definitely be in on that. So, who do you want the Eagles to take at number 10 overall and at number 30 overall? Let us know down in the comment section. Get in that war room with Howie Roseman.